Jeff, this has been quite a memorable storm for many along the eastern seaboard. We see it all wrapped out. Now, racing up toward Nova Scotia, the snow beginning to wind down across New England. But the big story along the coast was tremendous flooding around Massachusetts and New Hampshire shoreline. The worst flooding since the blizzard of '78, which is a hallmark storm. We had a supermoon, a very full moon on Monday, and that created high tides already.
Hold up!
Aaron.
My name is Dave. This is Joe.
I listened to that podcast and I was like, I am with him.
That sounds really cool. And then Chris Humphries hard fouls and Kevin Garnett pushes him straight into the third row.
Let's go.
My name is Dave. This is Joe.
Let's go.
This is the Boston Sports Nerds Podcast, the B.S.N Show. Joe, you got anything you want to say before you go?
No, we have talked a lot.
We have talked a lot. Nothing left in the tank.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the 54th episode of the Boston Sports Nerds Podcast. I am not accompanied by my two fellow nerds, Aaron or Joe. I'm sitting alone in my room. For those that don't know, the Northeast was absolutely pummeled, destroyed, ravaged by a bomb cyclone, is what they call it. So what we did here to keep things funky, I say all the time, consistency is key. Being able to say the word consistency is also major key number 2. So I'm also a hypocrite because everything I do is late lately. Everything I do is late. But the BS Nerds are not going to be late. We're going to bring you the show when we tell you we're going to bring you the show, and we're pumped about this one. It's a little different. Obviously, we could not get to each other. We've been snowed in. My job was canceled real early. Like, they were way ahead of that. I was surprised. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the room in a weird way. Everyone has recorded a segment. I talked with Aaron. I said, oh, yeah, it'd be cool if we did like 3 10-minute segments. Got a little quick pod out there. A little 30-minute show. He did 10 minutes. I did not tell Joe that we had talked about doing 10-minute things. Joe did like 30 minutes. So Joe's got like his own little mini episode here. So we're going to start off with Joe. We're going to get that going. So everyone enjoy the sounds of the host of Joe's Fantasy Field Goal and Set the Record Straight, which I think he addresses some news and some information about that towards the end of his bit. So everybody, I introduce to you Joe.
Alright, what's up, guys? As you know, I'm sure Dave probably introed the show or something like that. It's a fucking blizzard outside. Like not just like a minor snowstorm, but like we could all die if the power goes out and freeze to death. Like that kind of epic weather. It's called a bomb cyclone. Think of that name for a weather thing. It's called a bomb cyclone. We are being bombed right now. We are being bombed by a fucking tornado of cold and snow. That they call it a bomb cyclone. We're getting hit by a bomb. Nuts. Anyway, that's why the show's kind of fucking weird today. So we're like recording 3 separate segments. So welcome to the Joe segment, hosted by Ben Field Goal, the silent host. We are going to talk a little bit about... You know what? I haven't really thought like 3 seconds ahead of right now about what we're going to talk about. I know we're going to do picks for the playoffs, and we're going to talk about... Let's recap the Pats-Jets game first. It went as expected. Petty and the Jets, they stood no chance. Petty and the Jets, they stood no chance. As thought, I said, I don't remember what exactly I said on the show, that, I would forfeit my bet. I would forfeit my bet and my lead in the pick'em if the Pats lost to Petty and the Jets. They didn't even come close to losing, so we don't have to worry about that. Brady looked fine. Everything looked fine. There's nothing to complain about, nothing to write home about. They stomped the shit out of them, but you should stomp the shit out of the Jets. What was the final score? 26-6. I thought they would score a lot more points, but they kind of slowed down at the end, because why go? You know what the biggest takeaway from the game was for me, actually? One, before I get to that takeaway, is actually fucking James Harrison is cool as fuck. He sucked when he was on the Steelers, because he was a Steeler. That's it. But now that he's here, the dude had 2 sacks. Granted, they were in garbage time, kind of, but he did have a big third down tackle earlier in the game. And he had a strip sack. The Pats didn't get the ball. The Jets got the ball back, but he did force a loose ball. James Harrison, all we need is exactly what he showed. Just limited pass rushing help. And I think he's going to be a big add for the playoffs. He doesn't need to know the playbook. He just needs to know how to go get the quarterback. And he looks like he can still do that. I don't know why the Steelers were so down on him. I know they had drafted a bunch of, maybe they thought, TJ Watt and, is it Bud Dupree? Is their other guy? They just like them better rushing the passer, but why not have James Harrison too? They weren't using him, and that's why he asked for his release. The Pats will gladly use him. They could use the pass rushing help. I'm glad they got him. He showed out, and I think he will be a big help. The longer he stays on this team, the more in sync he gets with the rest of his new Patriots teammates and stuff like that. But the biggest takeaway I have from this game is, my God, is Dion Lewis a motherfucker. That dude is a motherfucker. He is hard as fuck to bring down. He's only what? Is 5'8" generous? He might be 5'8", and he just takes hit. He looks like a mini LeGarrette Blount out there. He's running people over. He's getting hit by big linebackers and just bouncing off of them. His center of gravity must be perfect. Does he ever stumble? He's like a cat. He's like a big 5'8" black cat. I don't know how he does it, but he's graceful and powerful, and he looks like he could carry the team if he needed to. Like, he runs so well. I don't know what took them so long after he tore his ACL, because he looked like this before. If you remember, before he tore his ACL, was that 2 years ago? Or like a year and a half ago? It was a while ago. Before he tore his ACL versus the Redskins a couple years ago or a year ago, he looked amazing. And they were using him a lot. And then he tore his ACL. He does a long rehab stint. And I think there were some setbacks. And then he slowly eased back in. But if he was ready to go, they should have been using him. The biggest knock against the Patriots all year was that their running game is meh. And that's only because they've been really passing a lot this year. And I don't really know why. But I heard a sports guy, one of those, television sports guys, Colin Cowherd or Nick Wright or Skip Bayless, one of those guys, say that, when have you seen the Pats control the running game and win? And he's right. We haven't. We haven't seen the Pats just dominate the running game and win the game like we did against the Colts like a couple years ago. But if the Pats draw the Jaguars at some point in these playoffs, I would not be surprised to see an attack led by Dion Lewis focus on running the ball. Because the Jaguars, while they are great in pass defense, they are below average to bad at stopping the run. And Dion Lewis is a motherfucker. And I trust him being a bell cow in these playoffs and getting spelled by Rex Burkhead to get the job done. And looking forward to the playoffs, like my biggest takeaway from the Jets game was whatever. We were expecting them to win. They won 20-point win, whatever. Biggest two takeaways were that James Harrison is going to help this team in the playoffs, and that Dion Lewis is a motherfucker. My biggest thing going into the playoffs now, though, is how many players, that this team is going to get back for this playoff run. And I know a lot of people have been like, I don't know, the Pats, the defense is starting to look subpar again, and they just haven't looked that great. What about that Miami game, blah, blah, blah. Listen, they're going to get back Rex Burkhead. There's one. They're going to get back Chris Hogan. He hasn't been playing. There's two. They're going to get back, and I can't believe I'm so happy this is going to happen, but he was going to play versus the Jets. They held him out one more week. He is fully expected to be back for the playoffs, and that is fucking Malcolm Mitchell is coming back. So you're going to have Rex Burkhead back, Chris Hogan back, Malcolm Mitchell, who's a great fucking piece to take out that stupid man cover one defense that teams like to run against the Pats and force them to throw outside. Well, now you have an outside weapon who can actually get separation, and Malcolm Mitchell, a big-bodied receiver, he's going to be back. On defense, Van Noy is expected to be back. That is huge. So huge. They need linebacker help. Van Noy is your green dot with Hightower out, and other than that, I mean, their linebacking core is a bunch of people who on any other roster, we wouldn't know who the fuck they are. I mean, we only know who they are because they're Patriots, but I mean, can you name me the second string middle linebacker for the Green Bay Packers? The Washington Redskins. What's their second string middle linebacker? You don't fucking know? Because that's who we have playing linebacker for us right now. Nobody's. This team, and we said it on the last show, this is the worst Patriots roster that I can remember talent-wise. And we thought they were going to be great, injuries and all that shit. But from the play that we've seen, this is the worst Patriots roster talent-wise. And they're still the favorite. The Bovada Sportsbook, Las Vegas, they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. With the worst Patriots roster we can remember. And that's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, obviously. I mean, how do you bet against them? And they have home field throughout the playoffs. And I said it to my dad when we were watching the Jets game. If they win the Super Bowl this year, it's almost like they won the Super Bowl in a down year. It's almost like the year when, what should have been like a post-Super Bowl hangover year. Think, Denver the year after they won the Super Bowl, or Carolina the year after they made the Super Bowl. Or Seattle made it back. But what should have been a Super Bowl hangover year, what should have been a down year, especially with Edelman going down and Hightower going down, and the hell, why am I blanking on his name? The corner we got from the Bills, Gilmore, and with Gilmore not playing how we were expecting him to play, this should have been a down year after week 4, let's say. If I would have told you, yeah, the Pats will make the playoffs, but exit in the first round, not the favorite. Would you have been shocked after week 4? No. They didn't look like a team that should have won a Super Bowl. Next year, I mean, yes, we have the Malcolm Butler situation to work out, but this team's going to get better. The offense is going to be significantly better. I mean, you have Julian Edelman coming back. They need to figure out a way to sign Dion Lewis back. If you can get Dion Lewis back, maybe they don't. Maybe they just rock with Rex Burkhead and James White. You know what I mean? But hopefully they try and get Dion Lewis back. If they get Dion Lewis back, you're going to have Dion Lewis, Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks, Rob Gronkowski, Malcolm Mitchell for a full year now, as your top weapons. And listen, this probably won't happen, and people talk about it all the time, like, let's go out and get weapons for Brady. Well, that's a stocked unit right there that I just told you. Dion Lewis, Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks, Malcolm Mitchell, Chris Hogan, Rex Burkhead. I mean, that's a ton of weapons. Jimmy Graham is going to be a free agent. Seattle's going to try and re-sign him, whatever. But if they don't, and he hits free agency, and you can get him for an okay price, I think Seattle's window, especially with the news that Cam Chancellor and Cliff Averill might never play football again, which is fucking nuts, but they might never play again. Seattle's window might be closed. It might be gone. If that's the case and you're Jimmy Graham, and you want to win a Super, if you're Bill Belichick has been trying to do this two tight end thing since he had Aaron Hernandez, and then Aaron Hernandez killed a bunch of people. If you can go out and get Jimmy Graham without spending a fuckload of money on him, I think you could convince him to come play for the Pats, maybe on a smaller contract with Tom Brady for a couple more years with the greatest quarterback ever throwing you the ball. Could you imagine a team with Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman? Now, he went out and got Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett was a great tight end, but he's not the same kind of tight end that Aaron Hernandez was. Aaron Hernandez was pretty much a big receiver that played tight end. When they got rid of Martellus Bennett, they got Dwayne Allen. Dwayne Allen is not the same kind of tight end that Aaron Hernandez was. Aaron Hernandez was a big wide receiver who played tight end. Dwayne Allen's a tight end. He blocks. Jimmy Graham is the closest thing you can get to Aaron Hernandez without murder. without Aaron Hernandez. I don't think it's going to happen, because every time there's a good tight end in free agency, this always happens. Like, oh, Belichick should go get this guy. Belichick should go get that guy. But I really want this to happen. I really want Jimmy Graham to come to New England, because if I could, that offense, I mean, if Jimmy Graham left Seattle in free agency and came to New England, you would be looking at 07 levels of offense. Like 07 levels of scoring. I 100% believe that. It would be unstoppable. Especially if Dion Lewis is the running back that I think he is, this bell cow fucking motherfucker that I think he is. If you can re-sign Dion Lewis and get your hand on a move tight end like Jimmy Garoppolo, like Jimmy Graham, Jimmy G, like Jimmy Graham, I seriously think we would see a repeat of 07. And if they win the Super Bowl this year and then do that, I mean, you might be talking about a three-peat. They would be the favorite. They'd have to be. Their defense, if you can figure out the Malcolm Butler situation, if you can't, I have confidence in Belichick that he would figure out a solid replacement for Butler. And we've seen some really good play from, is it Jonathan Jones and my guy Eric Rowe, and that's not my guy. No, my guy's Jonathan Jones. But we've seen some solid play from Jonathan Jones. Even Batamosi was solid in corner that you could put out there as your second corner and rely on Gilmore, who's been really fucking good lately. I think a Jimmy Graham move, almost, barring injury, obviously, almost guarantees you a Super Bowl if you get Jimmy Graham. If you can keep those pieces healthy, and it's kind of insurance for if Gronk goes down. Granted, Jimmy Graham is not going to block like Gronk, but he's still a weapon. You can't double team anybody because if you have Cooks on the outside, Graham and Gronk and Edelman as a slot guy, the NFL shouldn't allow it to happen. It's like they have monopoly rules in the world, in the United States, where you can't have, all Walmart can't buy control of all the fucking just general stores. You know what I mean? Best Buy or Verizon can't control all of the phone market because it's not allowed. You can't have a monopoly on any certain thing. The NFL, if the Patriots tried to sign Jimmy Graham, the NFL should almost say you can't do that. We can't let you do that. We try and do this parity thing, and you guys fuck it up year after year, and we're not guaranteeing you a Super Bowl because it'd be a guaranteed Super Bowl. Obviously, barring injury, you can't guarantee that everyone's going to be healthy. But if they are all healthy, if they were all healthy, fuck it. At the beginning of the year, let's say they signed Jimmy Graham this offseason, and I know I'm just talking about this. There's not even been rumors that he's going to go to New England or anything like that. I just know that he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and that Seattle is kind of doesn't know if they're going to sign him back. If he goes to the Patriots, though, I would bet money, a solid amount of money, maybe like $500 or something, at the beginning of the year, that the Pats would win the Super Bowl. And I would probably bet that they go 15-1. I'd probably bet that they go 15-1 and win a Super Bowl in August. I'd place that bet. Because it would be guaranteed. I know nothing's guaranteed in life. Brady could go down. Gronk could go down. Even if Gronk goes down, I mean, they would still be the favorite. If, the whole team dies in a plane crash, shit like that, I mean, that never happens, except for Marshall. What I'm saying is, when I heard the Jimmy Graham news, and I'm not one of those guys like, you gotta get Brady weapons. When I heard that Jimmy Graham might be a free agent this year, he might not re-sign with Seattle, the first thing that came to mind was the Patriots have to find a way to get Jimmy Graham. More than, just a receiver. I trust a tight end in this offense more than going to get like a Julio Jones or a Mike Evans or, any big name wide receiver, Odell Beckham or something like that. I trust going and getting a stud tight end like Jimmy Graham to pair with your stud tight end to make this offense unstoppable. And the sheer thought that it could happen, like I said, there's no even inkling that Jimmy Graham would be going to the Pats, or that they have any interest in signing him. I just saw that he might not become a free agent in Seattle, or that he might not re-sign with Seattle, and he would become a free agent. And the first thing was like, oh, I want Bill to go get him. I need Bill to go get him so that I can guarantee a Super Bowl in 2018. Well, the Super Bowl would be in 2019, but whatever. Next season. And now that I've gone on this huge rant about Jimmy Graham, who there's no news linking him to the Pats, let's talk about playoff football. And we'll do our picks. I have no idea who won or lost last week. I didn't go back and listen, and they normally tell me at the podcast, but obviously we are all recording our segments separately because of a bomb cyclone. A fucking bomb cyclone is outside. A bomb. But let's do the picks for the wild card round. I'm just going to assume I won last week because that seems to be the trend. I win every week because I'm the greatest, and I'm going to get that the grinder that's on the line. Anytime a grinder's on the line, I always do my best to win. So for the AFC, we have the Titans and the Chiefs, and the Bills and the Jaguars. Titans at the Chiefs and Bills at the Jaguars. I'm going to go... The Titans are like the worst team to make the playoffs by far, in my opinion. Like I think the Bills are a better team than the Titans. Titans just aren't very good. So I'm going to go Chiefs over Titans. And Bills or Jaguar. I'm going to go with the chalk. Chiefs over Titans, Jaguars over Bills. And I'm going to go... For the NFC, it's Falcons, Rams, and Panthers, Saints. I'd hate to go with the chalk again. What do I want to do? Falcons, Rams, Panthers, Saints. I'm going to go Rams over Falcons and Panthers over Saints. So a little bit of an upset there. The Panthers, the 5 seed beats the 4 seed, and the 3 seed beats the 6 seed for the NFC. So we got Chiefs winning versus the Titans, Jaguars winning versus the Bills, Panthers beating the Saints, and the Rams beating the Falcons. Those are my picks. I don't know if the other guys are going to do like an entire fucking breakdown, but that would mean that your New England Patriots would be playing a rematch of the opening week game against Kansas City in New England, and I am much more confident this time in New England stopping them. But I'm not. I would much rather play the Titans or the Bills, to be honest with you. But whatever. I think the Pats are a better team. They have a better quarterback. Alex Smith's come back down to earth, and I don't think we'll see a repeat of the fucking 350-yard passing game that he had or whatever. Didn't he have 400 yards passing? Yeah, that shit's never gonna happen again. Never. So, those are my picks for that. Let's see, what else we got in Boston sports? The Red Sox are a fucking complete waste of time. They did offer J.D. Martinez a contract. As of now, he is not signed. So I don't give a fuck until he is signed. And then I probably still won't give a fuck unless they sign someone else as well. They have to beat those fucks. Those Yankee fucks. And that's going to be really fucking tough to do. So, I don't care about the Red Sox right now. Isaiah Thomas, ex-Celtic, has really been annoying me lately. I get it. He's upset that he was traded. But he's made some comments about fucking, what is it, like a tribute video and some other shit. Calling out the Celtics, medical staff. Obviously, something was wrong with his fucking hip. Like, obviously, there was something wrong with your hip, dude. You missed the fucking, first couple months of the NBA season. So I don't know what he's pissed off about. I didn't actually hear his comments. I know he just made some comments, some bad comments. Phone's on, rookie mistake. Some bad comments about the Celtics training staff, or medical staff, it's just bullshit. Now, all of a sudden, and he made his debut for the Cavaliers, and he played fucking great. He played like IT. And now there's this huge narrative that the fucking Celtics lost this trade. And that's so bullshit. I mean, if they don't make this trade and get Kyrie Irving, who I know a lot of people will be like, well, Kyrie Irving's not that much better than Isaiah Thomas. And you might be right. Maybe Kyrie Irving's not that much better than Isaiah Thomas. But you know what he is? He is a younger player under control for longer. Isaiah Thomas is in a contract year. So you have a younger player under contract for a longer period of time who, while you might say he's not that much better, is still better than the current player you have, and you gave up a guy who would be coming off the bench for you this year because your two young studs have been great, and a Brooklyn pick. And that, I mean, to me, to get a younger, better, more under control player for what you gave up, you already won the deal. And then on top of that, the player you gave up doesn't play the first couple months of the NBA season. If the Celtics didn't make the trade, went into the year with Isaiah Thomas, as injured as he was, and he doesn't play the first couple months, they are in such a hole right now that they would have to climb out of throughout the rest of the NBA season. And then, even if they do climb out of this hole, make it back to the East, or make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and let's say they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Cavaliers still, then Isaiah Thomas turns to Danny Ainge and says, "All right, motherfucker, back up the Brinks truck or I'm leaving," and then he fucking bails. Anyway, so you traded away a guy who's probably going to bail at the end of the year or want max contract, who's older and admitted by many people not as good as the younger, more in control guy that you got, who played the first couple months of the season. It's a one trade. The trade is won. The Celtics won the trade. And the Cavaliers don't even know what their star player, LeBron James, is going to do. They tried to offer him an extension and he turned it down because I think he doesn't even know what he wants to do yet. But if he leaves, odds are they just make IT the face, you know what I mean, the face of the franchise, offer him a deal to stay in Cleveland. And I'm sorry, but I will always take a Kyrie and Gordon Hayward-led Celtics team over an Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder-led, or Kevin Love-led Cavaliers team. Always. If you're going to give me Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Average Al, and Jason Tatum in his second or third year, versus a IT and Kevin Love and Jay Crowder led fucking Cavaliers team, they might not even be the 2 seed. The Cavaliers. That team, that constructed Cavaliers team might not even be the 2 seed. So I don't like this hindsight after Isaiah makes his debut. We know Isaiah's a good player. We loved him here. And I know he didn't want to get traded. He was bummed about being traded, but it's the NBA. You're a fucking adult. You know what I mean? That's just the way the business is. And obviously, I would have loved to have fucking Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving. I'd like to have fucking Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Larry Bird and fucking Magic Johnson all on the same team. That shit just doesn't work like that. So move on. You know, Isaiah, he still can't play back-to-backs. He still can't, if you can't play back-to-backs, and you're not playing for the first fucking however many months of the year, of the season, how is that a one trade? Because he played good in his first game back? He's a good player. He's a good player. We got a better, younger, more under control player. It's not even close to discussing who won and lost that trade. The Celtics win. Celtics won by a landslide. I didn't put out a podcast this week. Obviously, I'm not going to do Bruins talk because I don't watch the Bruins until the playoffs. So, I'm hopefully Aaron covers that in his segment. But I don't know what's going on. Hopefully they're winning. I didn't put out a podcast this week. I'm on hiatus for probably just this week, maybe next week. Just getting some stuff ready. I got to do a logo and some drops and some other stuff for my new Set the Record Straight music final record review podcast that will be bi-weekly on the network starting soon. So keep an eye on that. And I don't know what Dave and Aaron said, but whatever they did say is wrong, and I'm better than them. And you guys have a nice start to 2018, and I will see you next week when the gang is back together for the Boston Sports Nerds podcast. Adios, amigos.
That's interesting, Joe, that you said that anything that I or Aaron have said is wrong, because we haven't said anything yet. You went first. So, joke's on you. But now I'm going to pass it over to the guy that normally sits on my right, the host of WECP, Aaron.
Hey everybody, this is Aaron, 1/3 of the B.S. Nerds, and the host of WECP. This week's been a little crazy with the snowstorm, short week because of the holiday, but we wanted to put something out for you for episode 54, make sure we get something to you guys. So, I just want to talk about how it's crazy that we have blizzard-like conditions. Patriots are still practicing. Belichick doesn't give a fuck. He wants everybody out there. He wants everybody practicing. He wants them to get ready. God forbid there's a snowstorm during the games. Granted, they have a bye week this week, so they can finally get healthy. Rex Burkhead and Alan Branch have both participated in practices and are getting healthier. That is huge for our defensive line that has been just roughed up these past couple weeks, giving up some good running games. Maybe Alan Branch putting him back in there will just toughen it up real good. And Rex Burkhead, man, he was doing amazing, dirty work, just like anything nobody wanted to do. He was doing it. And I just want to see him in the playoffs and see what he can do. That also means Gillislee is going to get bumped down to like 4th on the depth chart if they even carry 4 running backs into the playoffs. Harrison went off. 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and 5 tackles or something like that. Against, I know it's the Jets, but come on. He should not be dominating people like that at his age, and he is. He's a freak. And for the fact that the Steelers fans and Steeler organization and people are pissed off because he decided he wanted to sign with the Patriots, you cut him. That's what happens when you let go of a guy that good that late in the season. He's going to sign with a good team. He's not going to sign with the freaking Browns for next year. No, he's going to sign for this year to win a championship. He wants another one. Also, I got the picks this week. Now, they're playing on Saturday and Sunday. I don't have the other guys' picks, so you'll have to listen to their little tidbit. But Saturday, Titans at the Chiefs. I'm going Titans. I think the Chiefs, from what I heard, are starting a different quarterback. They're not starting Alex Smith. He's injured. So you got to go with the Titans. I just feel like that's the move. They're going to be the only team, if you notice, that I don't pick the home team. Home field advantage really helps the Chiefs, but without Alex Smith controlling the game and not making mistakes. And I think Hunt's hurt as well, so it's just, that's rough. I don't think you're going to go far without them. Falcons at the Rams. Now I'm going to go with the Rams, but I think the Falcons could be that sneaky, the one team in my mind that makes the upset win, because the Rams were so dominant, and Falcons are still the former NFC champs, man. As much as Dave and Joe and everybody thinks they're broken, they're still got some amazing players on that team. It's just unreal to watch them play still, and they're still good. Like, even their defense is playing better. And Sunday, the Bills at the Jags. I'm going Jags. I'm sorry, Bills fans. I know, circle the wagons. The Bills are here. Let's do this. Not going to happen. They just blew too much shit up during the regular season, and I think the Jags are just going to destroy them. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball. I think, yeah, Shady McCoy might have a halfway decent game, but he's not going to have 100 yards on the ground and 70 through the air. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen against this defense. I think the Jags are way too dominant for that. And the final game of the weekend, Panthers at the Saints. I got to go with the Saints. Like, they're at home. They play great in domes. And Carolina, as much as I love their defense and how gritty they are and how much I genuinely can't stand Cam Newton, they've been playing well. But I just still don't see them beating the Saints in New Orleans. It's just not going to happen. I just cannot see that happening. For whatever reason, Cam Newton, to me, just seems like a guy that can't control anything, including himself, and that horrible wardrobe that he has. So, now that we're done with football, let's talk a little bit about the Celtics. I want to talk about how the fact Dave's going to be talking about this, because he'll bring it up every time he sees me for the next month, because Jason Tatum won the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month for December. Dave is now going to talk about that. Every time we talk about Tatum, his name comes up. You will hear him say, "Hey, did you know he was in Rookie of the Month? Eastern Conference. Huh? He'll do that because he did that all last year every time a New England player, especially LeGarrette Blount, won Player of the Week or Player of the Month. He did not let that shit go. He brings it up and he drives it home. Also, want to talk about how Kyrie is a monster. I thought he was good. I think the mask also helps that, like, he looks crazy, but he's just so good. And I know Dave and Joe have been talking about this, like how Hayward would interact with these guys. That was the plan from the beginning anyway. I think it would change the dynamics, but if you brought him off the bench, if he's able to play in the playoffs, you got to. Like, I know Smart's been playing pretty well, but there's some games that he kind of falls off, and to be honest, you could play a starting five without a power forward, hypothetically. So you could get Irving, Brown, Tatum, Hayward, and Al Horford all starting. And that would just run fits for people. Now, I don't know how that would match up very well against Cleveland, but they just got back our boy, IT. IT just came back. He played good, and all but love for that man. Wish him nothing but the best. Watching those videos that Dave made me play, that I guess he did a little documentary about himself, and it's crazy. It's sad because how much he loved Boston. Apparently one of his sons was happy because now he gets to play with LeBron, but whatever. He's a kid. He doesn't know any better. And then I also want to talk about the fact that the Red Sox have done nothing still. Just staying the course. Haven't done anything. So I'm not going to give them any more time because they're wasting my time thinking about them. The Bruins. The Bruins are starting to score at they're almost averaging, the past week, they're averaging like 5 goals a game. That's insane. Like, when Club Julian was here, if they averaged 3 goals a game, that was like unworldly. Like, that's insane. They're getting healthy. They're playing well. I don't know how far of a deep run they can make in the playoffs, but if their goalies play good and they're scoring, come on, man. Like, you can't doubt that. Like, and they have, in most people's eyes, a goalie that can shut people down. He's a guy that can stand on his head, as Joe would love to talk about. Standing on his head. These are some of the things that just popped into my head, guys. Hope you have a great week. Stay warm. If you're in the New England area, keep shoveling. Ice. But it's crazy out there. Windy. Icy. Be safe. All the love. Stay out of trouble. This is Aaron. Deuces.
You gotta love having music coming in just as you're hopping in. I dig it. I like Aaron's take with the intro music. And he's gonna say that was outro music for him, but I'm gonna take it as intro music for me. So there's that. Aaron gave you a lot of instructions at the end there. Be safe, stay out of trouble, keep shoveling, be warm, stay warm. A lot of stuff to do if you're in the New England area, according to Aaron, but he's absolutely right with every single one of them. It is a wild storm outside. You may hear plows coming through behind me. You're going to have to bear with, all right? That's the cost of putting out a podcast during a bomb cyclone. The first ever bomb cyclone podcast, I believe, because this has to be the first bomb cyclone in the universe. I'd go that far. I'm willing to throw that out there. A couple things for me to talk about sports-wise. Patriots look good, not great. I'm not really going to dispute what anyone said because it's not fair that I get to hear it and then pick apart their points. But I will say Joe was very, very pleased with the past performance against the Jets. Sure, they won 26-6. They look good. Their defense looked better than their offense. They scored 26 points. That's fine. Deion Lewis carried the team on his back. Absolutely. Tom Brady was 50% completion. Not great. Not great. Didn't throw a bunch of picks or anything. They sputtered a lot. I mean, they were up 7-0, and then it was just like, yeah, quicksand offense. And I don't love when they do that. And I think in the playoffs, if there's a team that I trust more to get the points when they need the points, I'd be lying to you. Because I don't trust any team more than the Patriots when it comes to that. If there was a team that I told you I trusted more to get a stop when they needed a stop, I'd be lying right to your fucking face. The New England Patriots are as clutch, are as well prepared, and are as in the moment as any, I would say, professional sports team as I've ever seen in my life. I was listening to Colin Cowherd earlier talking about how I wasn't a Patriots fan my whole life. I became a Patriots fan because they don't run things like a football team. They run things like a business operation, which is so fucking true. It's crazy. Also not a great Colin Cowherd impression, but I think you get the point. They're mechanical. They're robotic. No emotion. There's no human element, really, to the New England Patriots. Except for, there might be. And ESPN plans on doing what ESPN does. And they are sending out tweets, and they're going to be promoting it all day tomorrow. On the fine Friday leading into the NFL playoffs, it's going to be all about how the three amigos, Brady, Kraft, Belichick, really fucking hate each other, I guess. Seems to be the vibe, that they just all fucking hate each other. And this is the last year that they've agreed to coexist. I'm being extreme to a situation. I'm being extreme to a report that sounds fucking obnoxious to me. It may be true that Brady said to Kraft, hey man, am I getting traded? Because I think that's chaos if I'm the one traded. This was a 40, whatever, however much money the team cost. This is a $100 million team when you bought it, Kraft, if that, if it was even that high. And now it's a $4 billion team. Because I'm here. And Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. He's a GOAT coach for sure. But players play. GOAT coach would tell you that he couldn't do it without the players executing plays. I don't think there's any coinky-dink, right, that the only time the Bill Belichick's won Super Bowls or playoff games as a head coach was with Tom Brady. Everyone says, oh man, his record without Tom Brady's great. Like, you got to include the Browns. He was a head coach there. And his record without Tom Brady in 2007 to 2008, and that switch was 5 games worse with the same exact team sans Tom Brady. Sans doesn't really fit there. That means I think sans Tom Brady. I was thinking I accidentally said circa Tom Brady. So without Tom Brady, they're 5 games worse, which doesn't sound that awful, but considering the league operates in a 16-game schedule, they're 33% worse. So Tom Brady's worth 33% of the Patriots' success, at least, because then Tom went on to win another, 2 games in the playoffs and had the lead with 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl, like he normally does. And then there's the whole story. So there's this whole fucking hit piece coming out by ESPN, which is just every season's Patriots negativity really is what it seems like ESPN stands for now. Every season's Patriot negativity. It's on the clock, systematic, time's up. ESPN, time for you to do your thing. Supposedly Brady demanded that Garoppolo gets traded to Kraft. Kraft told Bill now kicked out Guerrero as a spite move. They all fucking hate each other. The 3 amigos are splitting up. Now they're just like any old Tom, Dick, and Harry. They're no longer Kraft, Bill, and Brady. They're no longer the 3 greatest at their positions. Coach, owner, quarterback. Now they're just fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry. Mo Curly and Larry, whatever. Fucking, it's just, it could be 10% true, could be 99% true, could be 100% true. I don't fucking care why you doing the story now. Because you have an agenda. And I know I sound like some crazy patriot yahoo. The league's out to get us and blah, blah. Yeah, I know that's how I sound. I get it. But why? Why now? I've had this story for weeks. Garoppolo got traded 10 weeks ago. Now? Gotta do it now? Right before the playoffs? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they think, if there's a shred of a millisecond that the writer of the story says, man, I wonder if this is going to disrupt the Patriots, you're high. You're high. You're so high. Because AFC Championship 2014, scandal breaks out right after the game. Sunday, 9 o'clock at night, or whatever, midnight, whatever time it was. Chris Mortensen reports that 11 out of the 13 footballs in the New England Patriots were up to 2 pounds per square inch. Under pressure. Underinflated. The Patriots cheated. Oh man, this doesn't look good. And then Bill says, I don't know, you gotta ask my quarterback. And then the quarterback says, I don't know about that. I don't know. Yeah, I wish I knew. I wish I had more to tell you. I don't know. After being attacked by a national fucking mob of media. And what'd they do? Oh yeah, they went on to win the Super Bowl. When the footballs were under as much scrutiny as ever in the history of the league, they were all properly inflated. They were all microscope on the refs on those days, make sure that those balls are right. Oh yeah, they went and won the Super Bowl. And then next year, they're really good. They lose by a 2-point conversion attempt. The closing seconds of the AFC Championship, so close to getting to another Super Bowl. And that was the greatest offensive season ever by an NFL team. Those Broncos, by the way. Peyton Manning. Nope. Check that. Sorry. That wasn't the year. That wasn't the year. Sorry. That wasn't the year. Broncos wind up going to the Super Bowl and beating the Carolina Panthers team that I absolutely believe the Patriots would have beat by like 30. Like, no problem. Following year, Goodell finally gets a suspension. There it is. Like, hey, man, that's what I said originally. You're suspended for 4 games. Appeal. Nothing. Ah, you're back. You're not. 4 games. Bye. Patriots go on 3-1 in that stretch. Only lost a game because their third-string quarterback was hurt, while their second-string quarterback was hurt. And they ran the ball like 5,022 times in that game because they couldn't throw it because your third-string quarterback had a ligament issue in his thumb. So they lose that game. They go 3-1 without Tom Brady. They go on. They win the Super Bowl. They don't lose a game on the road. And they do it without Tom for a quarter of the season. Without Tom. Going to the Super Bowl again. Greatest comeback ever. Best Super Bowl ever. So what do you think? Who is it? Whitlock, probably, or Windhurst? I don't know who it is that's writing the story. But what do you think's going to happen? You think you're going to give the Patriots some distraction? Well, let's see. 199th pick, chip on his shoulder, hasn't forgot it. Spygate, they killed everybody by about 40,000 points a game. Ran the score up on everybody. Send a message. Prove it. They'll prove it to you. We can do it without it. Deflategate. Oh, yeah, win the Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, that's right. And then, you actually took my quarterback. Wow, that's interesting. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Do you think that in the face of adversity, the New England Patriots go like, holy cow, what are we going to do now? Or do they seem to just like shove it down your fucking throat? I'm going to choose the latter. Every time the New England Patriots have had something held against them, or whatever you want to call it, the asterisk has been put in place. There's trouble brewing in the neighborhood. There's drama behind the scenes. I mean, this is a little different. We haven't heard a lot of that, but I don't know. Alex Guerrero got kicked off, the ability to fly with the team and the sideline 2-3 weeks ago. They haven't lost a game in like 5 weeks. They lost to Miami, and they beat everybody else. So, who'd they beat? Steelers, Miami, Bills, Sens, all Sens then? I got to buy. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. What does ESPN think is going to happen here? We're just doing our job. We're just reporting the story. It's a good story. I'm sure it's an interesting read. I just have to feel like the timing is not a coinkydink. I don't find it to be coincidental, the timing. I don't. And maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm fucking freaking out. I don't know. There's another thing I wanted to address in my few minutes here was the fact that Isaiah Thomas has asked the Celtics to not play his tribute video last night, when they played, but to do it the next time they come back to Boston. Okay, I get it. You didn't play in the game. You kind of want to get a proper send-off. I get it. But do you get to dictate that stuff? Do you get to say, hey, don't honor me then, honor me now, honor me on this day instead? Well, I wanted my family to be there. I wanted my family and friends to see how much they really loved me in Boston. Hey, if that's why you wanted him to play the video on another day, then you should have just invited him to that game. Even though you weren't playing, if you wanted to show off, I mean, that's the most humble brag fucking thing I've heard in a long time. I used to love Isaiah Thomas, and I don't really dislike him, but I find him to be sort of I'll just say less likable through all this. He's talking about the Celtics a lot, and I like it. I like the fact because he always has this big smile on his face. You could tell that the city absolutely lit him up, and he really loved it here, which is great because there's not a lot of athletes that do. So I don't want to discourage that, but move on. Like, you're traded. Joe, I think Joe said it, where he's like, grow up. You're an adult. Like, you got traded. Okay, like, I get it. And it's heartbreaking, and it's tough, and I know he gave everything he had, and there was a lot of very personal moments that became public and became professional, unfortunately, for him at times. And, you know, they asked him, like, you know, what's your favorite moment in Boston? He said, 53 points on my sister's birthday. Like, yeah, no shit. Of course. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm not saying that to be rude to him. I just mean, like, that's a no-brainer. That is, of course, probably the best moment of your entire career, let alone just in Boston. So, I don't know. He went from a six-man candidate, and I think he may have won the six-man of the year one year. I may be wrong about that, but he went from a six-man player to a starting point guard to an all-star starting point guard to the guy that got traded for Kyrie Irving, which is considered a top 3 guard at his position. Like, top 3 player in his position and probably a top 10 player in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas went from the last man in the draft, traded for the guy that was first in that draft. So kudos to Isaiah Thomas, but the problem is, not only did you not invite your family on your first time back in Boston so you could humble brag about how much they love you, you asked to do it the next time, which, oh, by the way, the calendar's already booked. That's Paul Pierce's retirement night. They're going to retire Paul Pierce's number that night. And when he was confronted about that, he said, I'm not trying to take away from Paul's night, which I believe. He says, it's Paul's night. He gets the rest of the night. I just want my little video in the beginning. I don't know how to tell you this, but you're so far from Paul Pierce as a Celtic. It's crazy. Like, I don't have to really go over the numbers, but in case a lot of people forget, like, you know, the 16-year-old, 20-year-old basketball fan, Celtics fan, Paul Pierce played 1,102 games for the Boston Celtics. Was the key component to a championship. Kevin Garnett changed the team, changed the dynamic of that team. But Paul Pierce was your best all-around player, I believe, that year. And those guys, Ray, Kevin, they gave in. They knew it was Paul's team. And they all had to help each other. It was a very, very teamwork-driven super team. Paul Pierce is like a top 30 greatest player ever, maybe. Maybe he's top 50. Isaiah Thomas is not. That's that simple. And to say, oh, Paul gets the night, I mean, really, it's the same thing. Like, they hang the jersey and then it's over. It's not like they're playing videos of him the entire time while the game's going on or whatever. It's like they hang it up, he gets to say something, and then the crowd sends him off and everyone loves him, and we go over some great highlights of Paul Pierce. And we talk about him throughout the, in between quarters. They'll probably do like Paul Pierce's top moments and stuff like that. But it's not like he gets the night. Like, he doesn't get every minute of the night. It's just depending on what broadcast you're watching, there'll be different things kind of honoring him or whatever. But now the problem really kicks in. Isaiah kind of like, yeah, no, no big deal. I'm going to bring my family. I want them to see how much Boston really loved me, because it's like they don't believe me. It's the vibe that I get. Like, he talks about it all the time. They don't believe me. He says, come on, I'll show you. or else why would you have to prove it to him? Then says, pal, don't worry about it, Paul. You'll get your whole night. I just want the beginning. Just give me my video in the beginning. We'll play the game, yada, yada. Paul goes, hey, Celtics guys, Wick Grossbeck, Danny, whoever's in charge of this stuff. No thanks. I don't want to share the stage that night. He just says, I don't want to have my night in Boston. I don't want to spend my night in Boston watching Isaiah Thomas highlights. I got nothing but love for Isaiah. But that's not how I want to do my retirement night. And I don't blame him. And people, I think a lot of people are probably going to take off the idea that Paul's being stubborn. Because there's such a wild recency bias in sports. It's like, yeah, but Isaiah Thomas is the reason why Al Horford signed here. Like, yeah, true. And also under the impression that they were going to get Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's team says you got to go get Horford. If Durant's going to think about it. So you tell Horford, hey, we're signing you. You know, you're very high on Kevin Durant's list. Plus, we got Isaiah here. I think you, KD, Isaiah, be a great little team. Absolutely. Isaiah was a big part of that. Isaiah was a big part of the Gordon Hayward thing, too. Gordon Hayward was actually pumped about playing with Isaiah. And then when they traded him, it's kind of like, what the hell? But then how can you complain about getting Kyrie Irving and playing with Kyrie Irving? Come to find out, it's just what point guard were you going to break your leg in front of? Kyrie Irving. And, I mean, Isaiah, too. But he wasn't playing. So, I don't know. I don't love the Isaiah move here. I feel like Isaiah is just kind of like... He's like your senior prom, like... What do they call that? Like the king, like the prom king and prom queen. He's sort of like the prom king, and then like on your 10-year anniversary comes back, or your 10-year reunion comes back and he's like, hey guys, remember how I was prom king? I'm like, yeah, okay, but you work at fucking Citibank as a teller. Like you're not even an official accountant anymore, Rob, or whatever, Like, fuck off, Rob. Yeah, okay, big deal. You were popular 10 years ago. What are you doing? I run a mildly successful podcast network. What the fuck do you do, Rob? No, actually, my prom king is actually one of my best friends. He was a good friend of mine. So there's definitely no actual hostility there. It's just a scenario. I guess that's it. That's all I got. I mean, yeah, I like the fact that Aaron brought up the fact that the Red Sox have done absolutely nothing. Since when Aaron talked and I'm talking, they still have done nothing. So, good, great. A lot of Machado interest. That makes me want to swallow a cyanide pill and die because that's dumb. Don't do that. Go overpay for JD Martinez. If you're going to do anything, you get Machado. Bye. I'm done with you. I'm over it. I don't want Machado. I don't want Machado because I don't think Machado wants to be a Red Sox. You can trade for him. Fine. That's great. You get him for 162 games. See ya. This is wild. I'm also watching like the Royal Rumbles over the past few years. And because I missed a bunch of them. And this is a crazy situation here where John Cena's in a match. The guy just literally took the ropes right off the turnbuckle. Never seen that before. Pretty crazy. So that was a real random sidebar, but just really distracted me. Yeah, Manny Machado, see ya. Don't want ya. Goodbye. Hit someone with the AOL message, like the old AOL thing, like goodbye. That's the next drop. When I'm doing Dave Speaks from now on, that's how it's gonna be like goodbye. Whenever I'm at, I listen to Chris D'Elia's podcast a lot. Congratulations, pod. And he has like these one-word things where it's like they all mean different things, like gagunk. And gagunk means that he's closing the door in your face. Like if he's done with somebody, it's gagunk. Hey, don't do that, gagunk. And it's like doors closed, and then he'll do that, gagunk. Bye. And so that's kind of been stuck in my head, the bye thing. So I think I'm going to get that AOL sound. Goodbye. Kapoof. Door closed. That's it. So yeah, Red Sox have done nothing. If they get Machado, I want to die. Don't want to do that. I don't really want to die. And yeah, Celtics been playing really well. There was a huge win against the Cavs, by the way. I didn't even mention that. It's a big win, but also it's one of those wins that I don't really care about. Like, it's a great example. It's an interesting regular season excitement to spark, but that's one of those games where I don't think it means anything to the players. Not like, oh, see, look at that. They'll beat the shit out of Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, nah, they probably won't. It's going to be a good series. The end. Like, I don't think what you saw the other night isn't necessarily a semblance to what exactly that means for both franchises. You know, I think we're a long way away to find out what both teams are. Isaiah didn't play in that game. Isaiah Thomas did play really, really well. He had like 17 points in 19 minutes, or maybe vice versa. He played real well. I think he's going to help that team. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, hey, prom king, fucking get over it. You should have took your tribute video the other night, and you should have called your family. If you so desperately need their validation to prove to them that you were once upon a time real popular in Boston. I don't understand it. All right, let's move on with a new sound drop here. We've teased this for a very long time. Let's get into it.
Would everybody please stand for the B.S.N. Network's weekly State of the Network?
All right. We got a couple things going on here on the podcast network, B.S.N. Network, Entertainment Network, whatever you want to call it. Josh Dow is no longer the Boxseat Boys. He is the Sports Report, brought to you by Josh Dow. The Sports Report has a brand new logo, completely rebranded, reformatted. The show's the same great show, just a new name, because it's just him. Now, his partner, who was originally a part of the Boxseat Boys when they were doing their own thing way back in the day. By way back in the day, I mean like 6 months ago, maybe. And, you know, that's when they were really ranked on iTunes, and that's when I was really excited. Of course, I'm still excited to have them, but I was really excited for them at the time. They seemed like they were just making moves. They had like some real famous people on for some interviews and stuff. And just like that show was moving and shaking. When they stopped doing the show, it was like, hey, we got to find out what's going on, because if they still want a podcast, then we should have them do it on our network. Josh is like, yeah, we do want to do it. The only problem is that my co-host kind of can't sometimes, because his work schedule is just chaos, which I completely dig. I'm not throwing sand on that man's name at all. I completely understand it. If you just can't do it, you can't do it. And I'd rather you not do it than say you can and then not do it. So, Josh said, finally it's gotten to a point where it's like, I don't think we're going to be able to do the two-man show. So, the Boxseat Boys obviously is a plural. He wanted to change that up. So it's just the Sports Report. It's the same show, though. I mean, it's Josh Dow who's giving you straight news, facts, against the spread, headlines, all that stuff is still in that show. Just new logo, new name. So if you see it, get excited, but don't get too excited. It's not a completely different show. It is exactly what you've enjoyed about the Boxseat Boys, just now in a singular titled name. So that's one thing. I have so many pending transactions, negotiations going on right now that I want to just fucking burst. So I'll give you a sneak peek into one of them. There's a website, which is to remain unnamed, that is a popular Boston sports website. Maybe not to you, may not be a household name, but 20,000+ followers on Twitter, looking to do some promotion stuff with them in exchange for them to simulcast the podcast. So there'll be a link on their webpage, B.S.N. Network, click, it'll have all of our stuff, So that's a pretty broad audience, pretty large number. At least on Twitter, you know, I don't have the analytical data as to how their website does, but I would assume if you got 20,000 fans on Twitter, you're doing something right. So, in any opportunity to get more eyes is exactly the route that I'm trying to go. So, I'm working real hard to get that deal done, figure that out. And we do have one show finalized coming to the network. The date, the name, the specifics aren't the ink hasn't dried on those yet. But often mentioned Chad Dizzle Davis on our podcast, you know, the host of Pass the F and Popcorn. We've ran promos for him. I was on his show. Aaron and I went and did a show with him, like a crossover pod, that the audio was horrible and we couldn't save it and use it. We joked a lot about that podcast, and you know, we referenced them a lot. Chad Dizzle Davis, the host of that show, is interested in doing a show on the network. So he says that he wants to get that going in February. It'll be a bi-weekly show. And, you know, the details of it and everything are not, like I said, they're not inked down yet. But he wants to do a show. And he says that he's aiming for a February release date. So I'm real excited about that. That's another program to add to our roster, which would make 7 shows, which is crazy. So we could try to line something up here soon. We're getting close to getting well, we got 7 shows, but there are a lot of bi-weekly ones, so there's not really one necessarily every day of the week, but we're getting close to that. That's the goal, is I want to have a week's worth of podcasts for people. And so every day you get something with our name on it. Be good to go. And the best, no, I shouldn't even say that. I'll just say, last but not least, we got merch. We talked about it a little bit last week. Dow mentioned it on the Sports Report this week. We got merch. We got merchandise. I'm not just talking about t-shirts. I'm not just talking about hats like we had before. This is hoodies, shirts, tank tops, onesies for a baby, pillows, tapestry, tote bags, wall art. Get it on a canvas. There is so much. There's crew neck sweatshirts. There's zip-up hoodies. There's just so much stuff. Right now, there's 2 variations of the 4-star logo. There's the whiteout logo, which I think is real dope. It's mostly on white t-shirts. You get just the shading of the logo. The write-up on that was done real well. The whiteout. It's just, I think that's a sick design. We got the regular, 4-star logo on there. We have the B.S.N network logo on there. We have the WECP logo on there, and we just posted the Sports Report logo on there too. So, you can get phone cases, like laptop cases. You get, oh god, there's so much stuff. So go to TeePublic. That's teepublic.com/user/BSN network. The link is always going to be below here, too. If there's a link that'll say, check out our merchandise, click that link, boom, straight shot. So that's that. You can check out any of our podcasts, which come out, somewhere between Monday and Sunday every week. And you know the deal. Every other Monday, you get the 4-star sports bar review. You get the audio and the video on YouTube. Tuesday, which was Joe's Fantasy Field Goal, which I believe will be turning into Set the Record Straight, or I think that's the name of the show, Set the Record Straight. In a few weeks, according to Joe, I think he said he's got a couple weeks left off so he can finish up some of the deets on that. Wednesday, we have nothing right now. Thursday, the Sports Report. Friday, BS Nerds. Saturday, nothing right now. Sunday, WCP or Dave Speaks. So, to wrap up this state of the network, this Sunday, there will be a Dave Speaks. And then Monday, You get your 4-star sports bar reviews. All right, guys. Stay safe. Avoid any bomb cyclones as long as possible.